Yes, I want to welcome students who are at home for my topic of Form 2, which is about forms of business unit. I know it's a topic that most of the students get tired on the way, but I want to use a simple way for them to understand this topic so when they are tested in an exam, they are able to get it right. And forms of business unit. What is a form of business unit? A business unity is any type of businesses that can be started by one person or a group of people with an aim of making profit. But there are also other business which does not aim to make profit, but are run by the government. So a business unity is a business activities that's run by the individual or a group of people or by the government with an aim of providing goods and services, sometimes with the intention of making money. And there are several forms of business units. One is what we have sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship. Two, we have partnership. Partnership. Three, we have what called cooperatives. Cooperatives. Four is what we call companies. Companies. We have what we call companies. And five was called parastatos. Parastatos. And corporations. Corporations, and these are run by the governments. So parastatos and corporations, most of them, it is provided by the government. So what is sole proprietorship? A sole proprietorship is a business unit that is run by one person or who can get what we call family assistance. And this one person is known as a sole trader. It can be a kiosk run by one person or a butcher run by one person. It can be a by one person or a single shop it's run by one person. That's what we call a sole proprietorship. And it's very important. I want to, because you see there are a lot of these sort of forms of business unit. I'm going to summarize in a way that you will be able to understand as a student. And how will I do it? For you to understand all these forms of business unit, we should look at what we call formation. Formation. We look at about source of capital. We look about what we call management. We look about legal formation. We look about continuity. We look about even decision making. So when you look at formation of each type of business unit, we will be able to understand the features of them. When we look about the source of capital of each type of business unit here, from the sole proprietorship, partnership, cooperatives, companies, parastats, and corporations, you could be able to master the whole of this topic. When you understand about call management of these forms of business unit, you could be able to understand about these forms of what business unit. For example, you are told in exam or you are told to what are the features of a sole proprietorship. Features of sole proprietorship, in order to approach such a point, you need to understand the concept of formation, the concept of source of capital, the concept of management, the concept of legal formation, the concept of continuity. And how do we go about the features of sole proprietorship? Let us look at them each by each. So features of sole proprietorship. One is we look at formation. We say a sole proprietorship is formed or is run or is owned by one person. So it is owned by one person. Owned by one person. By one person who might get family assistance. So that's what's called the formation. And therefore, that is a feature of a sole proprietorship. The second feature is source of capital. We say the main source of capital for a sole proprietorship is personal saving. So the main source of capital is from personal savings. From personal savings as the second feature. The third feature, if you want to understand, you look at management. So you say the business is managed by one person. So the business is managed. Business is managed by one person. One person who might get what we call family assistance. And this one person may also make decisions around without consulting. When we come legal formation, we say a sole proprietorship requires few legal formalities. For you to start a sole proprietorship, you only require a trading license, so few legal formalities. And also we have continuity. In case death of a sole proprietor or a sole trader, the business might go to dissolution or might come to an end. And those are the features of sole proprietorship. I want us to look again at the second form of business known as partnership. 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 A partnership, as I said, is a business unit that is formed by a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 20 partners. And the people around a partnership, they are called partners. So how is a partnership formed? A partnership is formed by a minimum of 2 members, 2 partners, and a maximum of 20 partners, except professional business such as law and medicine, where the maximum is 50. Number 2, feature number 2, we look at about source of capital. The main source of capital for a partnership is partners' contribution. So we say it's partners' contribution. Partners' contribution. The main source of capital is from partners' contribution. We have again what we call management. In partnership, every partner takes active role in management. So it is managed by all partners. It is managed by all partners. It is managed by all partners. So meaning that every partner has an equal right like any other partner. And then we have what we call legal formation. The formation of a partnership requires few legal formalities compared to companies, and therefore there are few legal formalities required to form a partnership compared to a company. That's another feature. Another feature is that the partnership has what we call a partnership deed. A partnership deed is an written document which govern the partners. So this partnership deed has some content inside. For example, one of the content inside is that how should they admit of a new partner, retirement of a new partner, provisions of dividends, provisions of salary to partners, capital withdraw by partners. So it has some what we call provisions, what we call content that it guides them. I want also to look at another forms of business units known as cooperatives. Cooperatives. Just going through very fast for you to understand how you should go when you are talking about this topic. Cooperatives, how cooperative is formed. A cooperative is formed by a minimum of 10 members. So minimum of 10 members. Of 10 members. 10 members. And remember, examples of cooperative are those people who are operating, who are selling milk, that's called milk operators. We have those people who are selling avocados, they come together and they take their avocado to a cooperatives. We have those people who are selling, who are farmers of tea. Those people are farmers of coffee. So those are cooperatives. They are also circles. They are also what we call producers of given products. So they come together. Consumers are part of cooperatives. Marketing cooperatives who are looking market for the farmers' produce and etc. So formation features is a minimum of 10 members. It's a minimum of 10 members. And one of the feature of a cooperative, again, the second feature is this: it is run on membership is voluntary. Membership is voluntary. Membership is voluntary and open. Membership is voluntary and open, meaning that a member has a right to enter or leave what? The cooperatives. Another feature of a cooperative society is that for them to operate, they must get approval from the commissioner of cooperatives. So for them to start a business, for you to start a business must get approval from the commissioner, of cooperatives, from the commissioner of cooperatives. And also, this cooperative, they are very important. It also has another one, which is a very important feature in their management, that a cooperative society is managed by a committee of members. It's managed by a committee of members. Managed by a committee of members. It's managed by a committee of members. This committee of members that consists of the executive, the executive has the chairman, the treasurer, and the secretary. So they are the one who manage the cooperative. So not all members that manage the cooperative, but it's managed by a committee of members who are elected at annual basis. We have also what we call another feature of cooperative is that they are what is known as bylaws. They are formed by what we call bylaws. It is governed by. It's governed by what we call bylaws. Bylaws. What are the bylaws? The bylaws. They are governed by the bylaws. Bylaws. This is the document that members of that's a written document that govern the cooperatives. And this document is like their rules, set of rules and regulations which govern the members in a given cooperatives. We have also what we call again continuity. That in cooperative, the death of a member does not affect what? It is continuity. So it can proceed with these operations. And then we want to look again another forms of business unit, which is known as companies. Companies, where we have public companies and we have private companies. We have examples of public companies. Is like we have KCB Bank, and we have also what we call Kenya Power. Those are public companies. And we also have private companies like private companies. Examples of private companies is like Equity Bank. Yeah, those that are owned by the individuals, companies that are owned by the individuals. And what are some of the features of companies? One of the features of companies is formation, is that a company is formed by a minimum of how many people? Minimum of 7 members or shareholders. 7 members are what we call shareholders. A minimum of 7 members or shareholders. Again, a cooperative is run by a board of directors. For example, in public companies. So it's run by what we call a board of directors. A board of directors. So companies are run by a board of what? Directors. Yeah, board of directors. For example, when I'm saying board of directors, we have companies like KTD. Yeah, KTD. That is a company that operates selling tea leaves. So this is a company that's run by a board of what? Directors. And it should have a minimum of what? 7 members. 7 members. apart from the public which should have a minimum of a minimum of 20 and no set of what maximum. And what about the main source of capital? The main source of capital for public companies is through the sale of what? Shares. So through sale of shares. So for companies is through the sale of shares. One they issue shares and the sale is a unit value. It's a unit value is a given unit is a unity value that is given to a particular what shares. So once you register by paying and you get what you call a share. So once you get a share, you become a shareholders. So that is it. Also, we have what you call in these companies. It is for a public company to operate. It must have what you call certificate of trading. So it must have a certificate. It must have a certificate of trading. It must have what we call certificate of trading. Certificates of trading. Certificate of trading for a public company, meaning that despite having certificate of registration like the private, but for a public company to operate, it must have a certificate of trading. This certificate of trading, it highlights what the company will be selling or what will the activities of the company, what will be the activities of the company. And it also should have what we call containing inside what we call memorandum of what? Association. What we call memorandum of association. In the memorandum of association, these are some of the clauses that will be inside that shows what the company will be dealing with, what will be the company will be dealing with what we call outsiders, with outside or the members of the public, the objectives of this company, what you call the liability of the company, the capital clause, and these are found in what we call in the memorandum of association. Another thing about this company, a very public company, is that it allows transfer of shares. So it's what we call allow transfer of shares. Public company allow transfer of shares. Transfer of shares. So this one in a public company, it does not restrict members from shareholders from transferring shares from one member to another, from one shareholders to another. Unlike in a private company, they restrict what we call transfers of shares. Another feature of public company is that they advertise their shares to the public. So what we call advertise. They advertise its shares to the public. So that once they can advertise through the gazette or through the magazine or through the newspaper, and the members of the public who are willing to come and buy their shares can come or are invited to come and buy what? Their shares in this company. So that's why we say it advertises its shares to the public. So those are some of the features of what we call a public company or a public company generally. But you see, most of them, we talk about companies, we have to talk about private companies, and then we have to talk about what we call public companies. But in matters of features, most they are similar. For example, what I've said is that most of them are run by board of directors. One I also have said is that these companies is that the main source of capital is through sale of what shares, and there are so many requirements for the formation of a company. Remember what you call a memorandum of association, the article of association, the list of directors or promoters who come to this company. So there are so many documents that are required for a company to start these trading activities. When a company acts against the law or against what it was formed, we say the company has acted what we call ultra vires. Ultra vires. Ultra-bias. Ultra-bias is when the company has acted against or its operation or its activities. Maybe a company was formed to just sell maybe to deal with, for example, to deal with milk, and then the company does not sell milk. It start to sell a different product. This company has acted what we call ultra-bias. But when the company operates within its activities, within the law, within what it was formed, we say what it is intra-fires. Intra-fires. We say it's what we call intra-fires. And finally, when we talk about the last forms of business unity, what we call cooperatives and parastatals, corporations and parastatals and corporation. Remember, I'm just comparing corporation and parastatals because these corporation and parastatals are financed by the government and are also started by the government. What are the features of a corporation or what we call parastatals? One is that the main source of capital is from government funding. So the main source of capital is from government funding. The main source of capital is from government funding. So they get most of finance of capital from the government. So it's the government it's the government that comes in or pays in when these parastatals get financial challenges. And another feature of these parastatals is that formation, it is formed by an act of parliament. It's formed by an act of parliament. It is formed by an act of parliament. It's formed by an act of parliament. And we also looked at management. We talk about the management of parastatals and corporations. Is that the management, the members or the chairman or the members of the chairman or the members of the chairman is appointed by the president or the relevant ministry. So the chairman is run by the chairman, who is appointed by the president, or what we call the relevant ministry from the Ministry of Agriculture. Then the Minister of Agriculture or the CS for Agriculture is the one to appoint the chairman to run a given corporations or parastatals related to agriculture. If it is the Ministry of Roads, then the CS for Roads is the one who will appoint the chairman or the president to run a given ministry relating to that. So the chairman is appointed the chairman who runs this corporation or parastatals is appointed by the president. And finally, is that the point number 2 is that the debt of the members of this parastatal does not affect its continuity. So debt does not affect its continuity. Parastatals, corporations, debts of the chairman or the people who are appointed by the president does not affect its continuity. It has to continue. It will not go to what we call dissolution. And it is very important to know that, especially when I'm talking about companies, the parastatals, there is a point where we talk about that these forms of business units are, for example, what we call corporations, parastatals, companies, and corporations. They are regarded or treated as a natural person or what we call legal entity, viewed as a legal entity. So you can be asked sometimes why companies are viewed as a legal entity. You can be asked such a question that why companies are viewed as a legal entity, a separate what we call a separate legal entity. Why companies are viewed as a separate legal entities? And to answer for that question is so simple. One is that a company can be sued. A company can be sued in a court of law. In a court of what? Law. In a court of law. a company can be sued in a court of law. That's one of the reasons why a company can be viewed as a legal entity, can be viewed. If the company can be sued in a law, in a court of law, then the second reason why a company is viewed as a separate legal entity, it also can sue. The company can sue. The company can sue a person, or the company can sue a person in the court of law. So those are the two reasons that it can be sued in a court of law. Also, it can sue, can take somebody to court. A company can take a person to court if the person violates or uses its name in operations. Operations. The third reason is that the company can own property on its name. So the company can own property. The company can own property in its name. So the company has the right to own property as a natural person. So it can own property in its own name as the natural person. And therefore, also the point, which is the reason, the fourth reason why a company is viewed as a legal entity is that it can enter contracts. The company can enter into contract with other companies. So it can enter contracts. It can enter contracts with other companies, And so those are some of the reasons why the company is viewed as a legal entity. It can enter contracts in its own name with other companies. Thank you for listening very much. I hope you will get the information very clear where you didn't understand. And that's how I say for you to understand this topic, you should not read bit by bit, but you should read in general that you say, I read about formation of this company. Formation. Very important to understand the concept of formation, and also you understand the source of capital for any forms of business unit, and also you understand the management of any forms of business unit. Also, you understand the legal formation and the continuity. Once you understand all these concepts of formation, the concept of social capital, the main source of capital, then the concept you understand the legal formation and continuity, that topic becomes very easy for you to understand the features, for you to understand the advantages, for you to understand the disadvantages of these forms of business units. Thank you for listening very much. If you have any questions, you could write, you chat on you can chat on my platforms, and I will be able to respond to your questions. Thank you for listening me very much.